think it is. I think we're done with our opening music.
Yeah.
I think so.
Hello, everybody. Welcome
Hello.
back again to the good, the bad, and the spoilers.
More spoiling.
This one has cool graphics.
Yay!
Whoa,
Yeah.
nice graphics.
Oh, look at those. Look at those
Aren't
graphics
they
I am
so
seeing right
pretty?
now.
The graphics, man. This beast.
Okay.
Needs more
They're
purple.
so bright and vivid. What do they mean?
we need more purple.
No, purple does not
It
work
needs
with
more
this.
desu.
Agreed.
I'm
So,
gonna pretend I know what you're talking about. 'cause I don't know.
cute.
It's
Yes.
not literally what it means for the people in the comments who are going
No,
to
but
complain.
in the internet world,
That's what it means.
Oh,
means
they're
cute.
on the internet. They'll complain about anything, which is what we're about to do.
we are,
I can't say we're not. So,
So, hi, my name is Aaron.
God.
Ashleigh.
Blaid.
Not Aaron.
This lovely coconut is Alex.
No, we need to put not Aaron in it.
I am not Aaron.
We can totally do that.
You know what? That's what they're going to do.
Not Aaron.
Take a note.
So, what are we spoiling and ruining today?
Okay, first
Everything.
of all, we're ruining Suicide Squad today.
Which did a pretty
Wait,
good job on its
yes,
own.
Suicide Squad?
We're ruining Suicide
What?
Squad.
This one
today.
isn't going to be 4 hours long like the other one was.
Nope.
Was it? Or,
No,
sorry, 4
because we have
episodes
someone
long.
who-
4 episodes
Which,
long.
by the way,
No.
harmless self-plug, we are going to, because we don't want to edit the rest of it, we're going to release that as its own separate thing, full and kind of uncut.
Kind of uncut.
kind of uncut.
Kind of uncut.
We have someone. We now
Because
have
we're too
someone-
lazy.
So for any of those people who actually wanted to hear the rest of that, you'll be able to. That'll release independently of the normal schedule, so
Just randomly.
it won't be a big deal.
Like 1
So,
second at a time.
Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad. Let's start with the bad.
The bad.
Like
Yeah.
the movie.
Like the
The whole
40
movie.
Okay.
Eh?
Why was it bad?
Mm,
What made it bad?
I'm waiting for you
Everything.
people.
okay. Let's like
Okay, all right. Let's first of all, okay, I felt there was no emotion. There's no feeling. Literally, I was so numb I couldn't even drink my soda.
how at the beginning, like that first 40 minutes of exposition.
Yes,
Like
horrible.
if there was any more cheese in that, they could have put Pizza Hut out of business.
What about Domino's and Papa John's?
All
Hashtag
of 'em.
not sponsored. Hashtag could be.
Hashtag please give us money. Why Pizza Hut specifically?
I
Hey,
Because they are our new
Tangerine
sponsor.
Tangent.
No, they are not. They are not.
no, he's right. There was just it
I can definitely agree.
It was
There was
very
a lot
hammy
of-
and it was very cheesy.
A lot of ham. A lot of comic book ham in it.
Not even comic book ham. Just like straight up like ham-fisted, right in the face.
I would personally. It reminded me a lot of the DC comics. Honestly,
Oh, that's why I didn't like it.
It did feel very comic book or cartoon like, which some
Exactly.
would argue is a good thing, but for a company that is trying to start a legitimate movie franchise to be successful, I would definitely argue that it is definitely not a good thing. That 30-40 minutes of exposition is certainly cumbersome.
yeah.
And I didn't like it. From that exact same sequence of events in that first few minutes of the movie, my biggest problem with it was not that it was hammy or that it was cheesy. It was the fact that we did not have a clear idea of who the main character actually was.
I wasn't clear what the movie was about.
Well, it was about the Suicide Squad, duh.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we needed the 40. That
And I would argue that that's the answer to your question as well. The whole squad are supposed to be the main characters.
But
that being said, I would agree that they only basically focused on Deadshot and Harley.
But specifically for that first 20, 30, 40 minutes of the movie, in every movie, it doesn't matter if it's a group movie, any story. It doesn't matter if it's a group story where there's 3 or more people. It doesn't matter if there's only one person. You have to have an idea of who the main character is. Even if it's a group film, one character always takes precedence. They always take the limelight. That's just good storytelling. You have to have a reason to follow it. For example, the Avengers. Once the Avengers all came together, finally, the story was still more or less about Tony Stark. He took precedence. He took the story. It was his story, even though it was the Avengers and it was their film. It was their story. Tony Stark still took precedence.
Basically gives the story a through line to keep track.
Right.
Essentially.
Exactly.
And I can definitely agree. And
now, later in the film, where they made it more prevalent that the movie was definitely more focused on Deadshot and Harley Quinn, it was more okay. But in just storytelling 101, in the first literally 2 scenes of the movie, you should know who your main character is. Plain and simple.
That would have been Deadshot, right?
Or Harley, or even
Well,
Waller.
no, because they spent the most of time, in my opinion, on Harley's little storytelling thing, and then Deadshot was the first person that they showed.
Yeah, typically in screenplay writing, your main character, your main focus of the story is literally the first character you see. That doesn't always happen. Rules are meant to be broken. But it was especially confusing because we had a short little, 3 minutes on Deadshot. Then we had like 5 minutes on Harley Quinn. And then we had a whole 20 minutes on Waller. Yeah, sorry, thank you.
The wall.
and it was just very confusing because obviously we know from the title and from all of the campaigning and everything, Waller is not the main character by any means. She's not our main focus of the story. The Suicide Squad is. So the fact that we only got this little bit of information about Deadshot and Harley Quinn, and then we had Waller fill us in on 20 minutes of exposition on all of the rest of the characters, including Harley Quinn and Deadshot, it made it very confusing.
Yeah.
From
I
an
agree.
audience point of view.
Yeah, that's one of the main problems I feel, at least as far as I'm concerned. One of the main problems was how unfocused the movie was on the whole. It wasn't sure who to focus on for the heroes, for the bad guys, antagonists and protagonists.
Yeah, the entire film, I'd have to say I was going, okay, who is actually the bad guy here?
Yeah.
Is it Enchantress and her brother? Is it Waller? Is it the captain guy who's been helping out the Suicide Squad this entire time?
You mean Flag?
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
Captain Flag.
I'm having troubles remembering the names.
Or even, there were several parts where it may have even been the Joker.
Yeah, it could have been the Joker also.
Oh,
And
it could have been the
antagonist.
Joker. Oh,
But-
okay.
Well, but
okay,
he
was in it. Yeah.
That's a whole different thing.
that we will get to the Joker in a minute because he needs his own bullet
I
point.
think the main deal was that
He does.
Warner Brothers rushed into this. They really rushed into this new franchise without really. They didn't have time to set up the way the Marvel films did, which.
I think they had time, to be honest.
Well, they could have taken their time. They could have easily have done a movie for any of those characters, like a single movie before this.
Like we were saying last night, you could have set up one whole separate movie, not necessarily about Waller,
Right.
but set it up to
an
where
entire film establishing each of the characters of the Suicide Squad and their origin and their backstory, so that once we got our Suicide Squad film, we could see them in all of their badassness that we wanted.
Yeah.
Well, with how quickly they went to do Batman versus Superman and killing off Superman, are you surprised that they rushed this too?
No, not at all.
No.
Killed him off in the second movie.
Right now, I think Warner Brothers. I think they
Superman's
see.
dead?
No, because the coffin shook and that.
The little dirt came up off the coffin, and it was beautiful.
Ask me what it means. Ask me what it means.
Okay, I remember that part. Okay. Sorry.
Why'd you say that name?
Batsuit. Guest director M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh, God. Tangent. Okay, what was it with that freaking Superman reference in Suicide Squad? Was that necessary?
Well, yeah.
That was.
Granted, it only lasted like 10 seconds, but still, I was going, why?
Like, had it not been quite so obvious and in your face, it would have been better.
We're talking about where we literally cut to his funeral.
Yeah.
Literally
Yeah.
cut to the
Yeah.
funeral, the guy holding the shirt and selling the Superman shirts and all that. They have that knack where, remember in Batman v Supes, they focused on the Robin suit. Should have been just a minor detail that was just hinting type thing.
Yeah, they could have just left it at the one line of dialogue that they had in the film and then left out the scene altogether.
Yeah. Or even done something like, in the background, have a TV showing his funeral or some shit like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I didn't mind the comments where it was like, this Superman shared our values, the next one might not. I didn't mind that.
No,
That was
'cause
fine.
That's their
Yeah,
world.
that was okay.
Yeah, and that's one of the main reasons that
Yeah.
they created the Suicide Squad to begin with.
I thought that was a good way to introduce what these people are worried about in their world, where this
Yeah.
kind of
I
being
agree.
exists.
Which
I
is
agree.
a legitimate worry.
It's the same thing that you see all the time, especially with the X-Men in Marvel stuff. Oh, these metahumans, they have all this power. They're so much more powerful than us normal humans and our weapons. How are we supposed to stop them? How are we supposed to rely on them to not kill us all?
So what else did we not like about the movie besides the Joker? Because he gets his own bullet point.
I think that's a pretty good bullet point to hit right now.
You think
I
so?
would
Is there
say-
anything else we didn't like other than
Speaking
the
of
Joker that
bullets,
we should-
physics, but I'm not going to get into that rant because I'm going to bore and annoy people with it.
Yeah, and when it comes to physics, you got that's just the thing with movies in general, but especially comic book movies. You got to
I know. I know it's the thing where it like irritates the hell out of me, but I have to shut up about it.
Unfortunately. I would say we can kind of move on to Joker at the very least.
Oh my God! What was the point of having him in the movie?
He needed to die.
He could have existed solely in backstory, and that would have been fine.
Yeah,
Yes.
he had to be in the movie. Again, like we were discussing last night, he had to be in the movie because he is the reason Harley Quinn is even a thing.
Nobody argues that.
She is.
Except
No, she didn't.
what I said is me being a non-DC person.
Mm-hmm.
I know Harley Quinn's backstory. There's no reason to have Joker in it.
Also, we got her backstory in that awkward opening 20 minutes, so I don't see why he needs to be in the rest of the movie.
No, I agree with that. He shouldn't have been in the rest of the movie. I would have been okay with just like at the very end, like after the credits thing, Joker pops in and breaks her
Now
out.
that would have been
that
cool.
would have been fun.
That would
That
have
would
been,
have been
I-
fine.
that would have
I
been
would
cool,
have
and it
been
would have made a lot more
completely fine with
sense because if that happened, we wouldn't have seen him go down in a fiery helicopter crash.
Yeah, that whole
Yeah.
thing was pointless.
See, if he was being set up to actually die, it would have made sense.
Absolutely.
or
Yeah.
at least appear dead.
Or had she
Yeah.
broken away free from him in the movie?
That I don't think they could have really done that because that would have been way too early in introducing Harley for her to
Yeah,
Break
I can see that.
Yeah, that would have been another rush
Is
story
that-
arc.
exactly.
For her character, that'd be a huge point.
Yeah, it is a huge point, and it comes from a lot of trials and tribulations with the character.
Now, doesn't she get her own movie?
Yes, Warner Brothers and DC did announce that she will be getting her own film. I think
Sweet.
in 2018.
Then
Isn't
why
there-
didn't she get it first?
That is a great question.
Because
I don't think that
This
they
was
were
testing the water.
expecting the fan
Fan
base. Thank you. I don't know why I'm losing my words today. I don't think they were expecting the fan base to go as crazy about Harley Quinn as they did
I'm not sure why.
Yeah,
because
even
it's
I
Warner
know about her.
Brothers.
Personally, on the fact that it is Warner Brothers, I feel it's just the fact that they did that with Batman versus Superman. They wanted to get their huge multi superhero movie to compete with Avengers and all the others. They, in their own minds, they didn't have the time to do the same thing that Marvel did and bring out several other smaller movies.
You know, if they'd taken the time, it might have
It
been
would've
a
been-
good movie.
It would have been better movies. I completely agree.
Just like I said last night after we saw the movie, no fan cares how long it takes them to get the universe out there. They could literally start this year, right now, releasing films over the next 20 years. Single films, origin stories, blah, 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 blah. And as long as they did it right, the DC fan base, and even the Marvel fan base, would not care if it took 20 years to get those stories.
Oh, but it would have put them way behind Marvel.
Yes, but no fan would mind.
But
No
they're-
fan
They
mind.
would
The
still pay the
studios
money.
and the
They
people
would
who have
still
the money
make
would.
bank.
They would still make bank. They
It's-
won't.
on
It
top-
wouldn't matter.
People who have the money do care though. That's the thing. They're behind. They in their minds they're competing
you can't
against
tell
Marvel.
me that you guys, being the DC fans, would not mind and still spend the
no,
money.
I wouldn't. I
The
wouldn't
money
mind.
is being made. If they had done Harley Quinn first,
My point is that the fans in the mind of the studios is meaningless. It's more they're competing against Marvel that matters.
if you take that, okay, I'm not saying you're wrong. It's wrong for Warner Brothers to think that because they're already how many years behind the gate? We're already on what? Captain America 3, Avengers
Well,
3.
Iron Man, the first Iron Man came out in what, 2007?
Yeah,
So
I mean, they're already
basically 10 years behind.
yeah.
Yeah,
because
they're
all
way
of the
behind,
films for
But
2017
that's why they're
are
already
finished.
releasing the major group movies to
Yeah.
try and keep up with them, skipping everything.
I was gonna say this isn't necessarily a race either.
No, it's definitely not a race.
But I do see Roger's point though,
Yeah.
is that the studios see it like a race.
Well, what they see is
And-
they look over and they see someone else making billions of dollars doing what
Yeah.
they could be doing.
and they
and-
just want to get into that, and they want to get ahead.
And unfortunately, I feel that's the reason that they're not putting out what they could be doing. I know these studios can make good stuff.
They can if they took the time and the
Exactly.
consideration and had the patience with
If
it,
they
but
got,
they don't.
I feel if they got the whole race aspect out of their heads, then they could take the time and actually make fully decent movies that would compete with Marvel.
So can we agree that the movie sucks because of exposition, because the Joker is pointless, because Warner Brothers is being really stupid with their films, and Zack Snyder's an idiot?
I would not use the word sucks, but I completely 100% agree with the intent.
I'm also irritated by the stylization in this movie.
I actually like the stylization.
So what about the stylization?
The Joker being reduced to a 14-year-old who tattooed damaged on his forehead.
Eh.
The obnoxious color schemes for the opening graphics and the general like wonkiness, like I felt like it felt like it clashed with how serious they were trying to make some parts of the movie.
Well, the thing is like if you watch the very first trailer for Suicide Squad, it was very, very serious, and their branding looked nothing like it did,
Yeah.
in the final product, being really colorful and bright and crazy and all this.
And then
It changed, once you got to the second trailer. They
Right.
had that branding, and the whole kind of look of the movie changed. And
Right.
when your tone changes like that, of course you're gonna have road bumps.
Of course, because Warner Brothers panicked and they heard some fans complain, "Oh, I don't think it looks funny enough," and they had already shot the film.
Yeah, they actually did go back, re-edit and do more shoots and more filming to just add more comedy
The
into
studio
the movie
actually,
overall.
the studio actually threw out the director's intended edit.
Yeah, we were actually talking about that before the podcast, is how the film went through several different editors and edits before they finally chose the final one.
And it was the editing and cinematography was pretty off, especially when it came to the fight scenes. Way too much shaky cam. Best way I can put words to it. It
Hard
was
to follow.
Yeah, it was hard to tell what was actually going on.
It was hard to be emotionally invested.
I personally won't go that far myself.
I will.
But I know you guys will. But me personally, I was able to get emotionally invested. It was hard to literally visually follow it.
I would say a lot of that was probably attributed to the fact that there was not a lot of care taken into continuity of shots, which I had noticed. That was actually a big thing I noticed watching.
Yeah, that's
There
a huge
was
thing in general for you.
Yeah, it is. That's something I definitely
Which
try to
I'm
care
not
about.
arguing with whatsoever.
But there was a lot of continuity issues between shots and scenes
It's-
that I had noticed, and that makes things hard to follow.
If we wanted to, we could sit here all day and we could pick it apart from a cinematography standpoint.
We could pick it apart from any standpoint if we
Right.
wanted to.
But like, you get really
Yeah.
nitpicky with it on that, especially. But also, like, we might want to segue.
Not make this a totally negative.
Well, that's
podcast.
why
Oh,
we do the
no,
bad
that-
first.
Yeah,
And
we do the
that's
bad
also
first.
why we have somebody here keeping time.
Mhm.
Yes.
5-minute warning.
Yeah, I got it.
I'm like, what's that last?
Mysterious voice from the beyond.
Our fact checker.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we can definitely sit here and nitpick about the movie all day. Technically speaking, there's a lot wrong with the film, but there's also a lot okay or good with the film, technically speaking, too.
What drugs are you smoking?
Hush you.
As much as like I hated like a lot of it, I'm actually okay with the idea of the Joker being a just straight up mental drug lord.
Yeah,
I
kind of
actually
liked it
am too.
Personally, I thought this Joker, from what I saw. Now that being said, we got like 2 seconds of the Joker, so it's hard to form a real opinion on that much of a Joker.
If we
Got
had
two
seen just 2 seconds of it, that would have been a perfect amount.
That
You
would
know
have
what
been.
I mean.
That would have been.
We
a perfect amount.
didn't get at least I didn't get nearly enough Joker to be able to form a real opinion on him.
I like to think that, and this is just because it helps me feel better about the film, I like to think that the reason we saw the Joker at all is because it was more from Harley's standpoint.
Which, along with that, could give basis to why they were so much more lovey-dovey than we're usually used to.
Oh, pudding.
Yeah, even the Joker was very lovey-dovey, even in a very emotionally and physically damaging way, an abusive way. He was still very lovey-dovey and obsessed with her.
I like to think that that was David Ayer's original intent as well. All of the Joker backstories and all of that stuff was all from Harley's perspective and standpoint. And how I feel like that was the director's original intention.
Wouldn't it have been really cool if the Joker in the movie was an imaginary Joker in her head?
That's just
Guest director M. Night Shyamalan.
It would be cool, but the issue is that would make a lot of really bad broken plot points with the fact that he freaking came in with a damn helicopter and shot everybody up. On to the good?
Yes, and I think the Joker is a good way to segue that, because one of the very few things I actually did enjoy about the film was the fact, and this could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing, but was the fact that Harley's and Joker's, lovey-doveyness, blah, 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 was very similar to the cartoon.
It was.
And I really appreciated that, being a fan of the cartoon. Now, granted, for the movie, that could be a very bad thing, that could be a very good thing. It just depends on how you look at it. For me, I actually liked it.
I'm going to say it was a good thing, specifically because it drives the point home. The one of the main things I liked about the movie was how well they got specifically Harley Quinn, but a lot of the characters down. Harley Quinn was pitch perfect. For me, at least, as far as I know, and I grew up and I love the character, she was perfect, and the relationship, like you were saying, was perfect from the series that she originated in. I'm going to say that's a good thing, personally.
I wasn't disappointed with her. I was just disappointed with everybody. I thought that they could have handled everyone a lot better, but she was the only one that didn't majorly suck for me.
I think the one thing they could have done better with Harley's character, though, was define earlier on her motivations. We don't really know her motivations about wanting to be more normal until much later in the film.
Yeah.
It's blatantly obvious when the Enchantress
Joker had
shows
eyebrows.
Yes. Joker had eyebrows.
Just a quick recap. We got to that point in the movie. Some random person in the theater we were in just shouted out, "Holy crap, he's got eyebrows!"
That's great. Who's so funny.
I wasn't even mad.
Oh,
But,
it was awesome.
There was that slight hint of that her motivation when they're in the bar, and she says, we don't get to be normal. That's the only other time that motivation is hinted for.
But I agree,
absolutely.
that felt very shoehorned in. It didn't feel natural. It didn't work with what we had already been established for with Harley. It didn't feel. It felt rushed.
That was about the only thing that I thought was not so great about her character. But
and I agree. For me, the main thing that made her pitch perfect for me was her personality, how she spoke, how she acted, how she was overall in the movie. Though I agree, there were certain, you had no idea why she was doing most of it at all, really.
And that's a lot of her character too. You don't know why. She's unpredictable.
This is true, but a lot of that
That's
also
the way
goes.
I took it. She's just unpredictable.
But yeah, that's one of the main points I liked about the movie, though, was how they portrayed the characters.
I like Deadshot's opening scene where he's like, "I don't have my money."
That
Okay,
was
since you made me wait, double it.
that was
like
good.
So, not Aaron. What were some things you liked?
So, Roger, well, I'm trying to remember.
The soundtrack was good.
No, that's my line, because that's the only thing I liked about the movie.
I did like getting to see Batman from the villain's point of view.
Yeah, actually, that was interesting. Seeing Batman from that perspective, we don't really see ever, was cool.
Right, we already see him terrifying people. We never see people being terrified of him.
Yeah, we don't get the perspective of being emotionally invested with somebody who is terrified of him.
I did like Amanda Waller. Well, the thing is, like,
as a character,
I love to hate that character.
Yes, I completely agree.
Hold on, let's go back to Batman for a second.
Yes.
as much as I did enjoy seeing that perspective of Batman, there was no emotional
No, there wasn't a really
emotional
emotional
attachment for us as the audience.
Well, not at that point. At that point, I don't care about Deadshot enough to care about how terrifying Batman is to him. You know, to have this giant ass dude in a bat suit standing over you and your daughter.
But shouldn't you have that emotional tie? I mean, shouldn't that emotion be there?
Well, it wasn't there yet because I barely knew Deadshot at that point. So
They did bring in the bat pretty early on.
yeah, in the
introducing
first 30
Deadshot.
minutes of exposition.
It wasn't too long after you saw Deadshot that you saw Batman.
It was literally during the sequence where Waller was explaining everything.
Yeah.
But anyway, segue back into Waller.
Right.
yeah,
I liked Waller. I did actually.
no,
like
just
Waller.
like seeing the way she shifts gears between being almost human to just stone cold, probably worse than the Joker as a human being.
Joker's got nothing on that
She
psychotic.
kind of reminded me of Umbridge.
Yeah.
Like
a very, very black
What-
version of Umbridge.
when they were in that room, I was thinking, oh, it's gonna be a little awkward explaining to the Suicide Squad that we're taking all these FBI guys with them, and then she pulls out a pistol and guns them all down remorselessly. I'm just sitting there thinking, oh, they're not going. Like the fact that she
Yeah.
just did not even bat an eye to kill her own men that way.
I kind of saw it.
I mean, I saw it coming, but it was just like
I liked it.
I
And
liked it.
Again, it goes back to the other point I had. They portrayed that character well. I despise that character, but they portrayed the character very well. She is every bit of as ruthless and hateful as
Any
as
other
she was
character in that
in the
universe.
comic.
So check this idea out. So, going back to the whole could have done other films thing, an entire film surrounded around Agent Waller, where the whole film is her just finding the Suicide Squad. And essentially taking that 30 minutes of exposition and turning it into its own actually decent
Her
film.
origin story is almost as good as any of the other characters also, so it would have
See,
been
it could
interesting to
work.
see that. She basically ends up watching all her children die while they're growing up in Gotham.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, wait, I remember that, actually. I knew that.
I
I'm
didn't know
smart.
that. I didn't know that.
You're so pretty.
But, like, then we could have at least gotten emotionally invested into all of the characters before
Right.
seeing them
I
in
agree.
Suicide Squad.
And it
And
still
only
would've
in
been,
one film, too.
And it would have been Avengers 1. DC's Avengers 1. It would have been the introduction, more or less their version of the introduction for all the characters.
Yeah,
It would've
Waller would
been-
basically just be Nick Fury.
Exactly.
Also, as much as there was in the scene, that scene where they took Deadshot to the range so he could show him what he could do, really made me miss shooting.
I really liked that.
Oh, hell, y'all mothers must be crazy.
That was awesome.
I really liked that,
being
yeah.
able to see the bleep 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 head prison guard that was treating all of them like crap and just really getting under everybody or the character's nerves. Being able to see him sweat in his PJs
I
was
really
amazing.
wanted to see him die.
I did, but I accepted seeing him terrified, and then killed by Joker later.
Everybody
I
should have
assumed he
died.
was killed by Joker.
That was actually another thing that I really liked about the movie was I enjoyed the way the dialogue was written.
Yes, it was actually surprisingly very well written.
Did not feel too unnatural, which is really impressive for a DC movie.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give it that.
Also, I like that they're starting to step down from DC's always had this habit of portraying insanity as literally howling at the moon in almost all their movies, as opposed to how creepy it can be when it's much subtler, like Heath Ledger's Joker.
So just so you know, God is here trying to keep her mouth shut because she has certain opinions on certain things that don't apply to our current situation. If you would
Regardless,
like to hear these opinions in a different good, bad, and spoilers, let us know.
We'll totally have a
Let us
new
know.
video series called "God Hates Fun."
We'll do a separate episode where these things might be able to apply.
Just a
If you
whole thing
wanna
where she
hear
gets
them.
to talk and complain about things that everybody else loves.
We need to change the subject now before I explode.
The
Oh,
dialogue was
Heath
well
Ledger
written.
was just the best Joker ever.
Really was though. Really was.
Okay, anyway,
Katie.
moving on. The dialogue was actually very good. I felt like it was funny when it needed to be and serious when it needed to be. Even if the film may not have been able to portray those in the more subtle way like it could have, the dialogue I felt was spot on with the change of emotion and
After
tone.
the exposition, of course, it went
After the exposition, right. After the first 30 minutes of the movie. But even during that first section when Agent Waller was explaining everything, the individual characters going through their backstory and everything like that, I felt like it really fit. And it showed their character traits well.
No, but I agree. I was especially happy to see, specifically Will Smith was not being forced to do yet another super serious monotone. He seemed, at least with the parts he was doing, he seemed like he was having fun, regardless of crap that was going on behind the scenes with Jared Leto and all that stuff. He seemed to be having fun with the character. He seemed to be enjoying it, and I feel it showed through with the character.
God is now looking around because she is very confused as to what we're talking about. 'Cause she doesn't know any of the behind-the-scenes stuff.
He was funny. I enjoyed the scenes that he was in, which was most of them because it was basically the Deadshot / Harley Quinn movie. I was happy with it.
Another thing I really liked personally was, and I know a couple of you did not, but I thought the visual effects were very pretty. Not the best visual effects in the world, but I thought they were pretty.
Second best thing in the movie.
I agree. The visual effects were really, I thought were pretty. And I know you disagree, but I actually like the visual style that they had. The very colorful but slightly off general style it had.
Now, I see Alex's point on not liking the style, but I actually have to agree. I felt like it was a good contrast that gave some lightheartedness to some actually very serious subject matter that they were trying to handle delicately.
And especially if you want to go even deeper than that, DC has a tendency of, with their heroes being super darker and not duller colors, but not quite as bright and exuberant. Their villains tend to be more wild, bright, and almost insane type coloring.
There is nothing wrong with yellow spandex.
Hush your mouth.
There can be
Hush
everything wrong
yo
with yellow
mouth.
spandex.
Lex Luthor.
And his rumpus room.
So, Ashleigh, what did you like about the movie?
We all know what I liked about the movie.
Harley Quinn's butt.
It was a
Okay,
very
it was
nice
not
butt.
just that.
It was a very nice butt.
She had everything else too.
Everything else was nice about Margot Robbie. She is
I
a
just feel
very
like we've
pretty
been
lady.
talking for a while. You haven't been able to say anything. I'm trying to find things in the movie that I liked, and I think I've done a very good job.
You know, and I've been agreeing with you on some of them that I did not have last week.
So, Ashleigh.
I think in general, the story was kind of not very well organized and whatever, but it was still a fun, kind of zany movie for fun, zany characters. And I think it served its purpose of having fun with this idea and bringing these characters to life for people who are already fans of this universe.
DC's been having a tendency of doing that. Doing
Well,
stuff for
eloquently
the fans.
put, I feel.
DC enjoys the DC fans.
Until they decide to go too far where it's alienating the people who aren't long-time
Until it
fans.
decides to go too far and you're putting in a character into a movie that he doesn't belong in.
Yeah.
Hashtag Joker.
Or she doesn't belong in.
Are you talking about Wonder Woman?
Basically.
Okay. Just
No,
making
I
sure.
agree.
As the
But-
voices from beyond just kind of nod in agreement.
But no, I agree. It was a fun, regardless of what issues there were, regardless of what problems and how technically sucky the movie was. I had a lot of fun watching it. I enjoyed it. It was a thoroughly it was a fun movie,
Yeah.
and I would personally definitely watch it again. I mean,
We're not at that part yet.
no, but it goes with the point I'm trying to make.
That's the next segment. Shush. Shush.
I think that if you went into the movie expecting something serious, you were going to be very disappointed. But if you went into it lightheartedly, expecting just not a super serious movie, that's what you got. You had fun with it, and that was kind of the whole point. I think that there's a lot of people going into it who are there to take it too seriously, and that's why there's such a negative response.
On that same point, I do want to just mention the one thing that ended up getting me super hyped, because to begin with, before I watched the movie, I had the lowest of expectations. As far as I was concerned, it was going to suck as hard as Batman vs. Superman did. I had no hope for it whatsoever. The thing that got me hyped, and I think that got me to be able to thoroughly enjoy it like I did, was the one trailer that I saw.
Music video.
It was a music video. A trailer for...
It was music video, 21 Pilots, Heathens, that came out just a few weeks ago.
Yeah. That video was so well shot. It basically ended up being a remix of the song with that one, I don't remember the name, but the one by Imagine Dragons, and the movie itself. It was so well put together, and it was so cool.
I have no idea what you're talking about with Imagine Dragons, but I will agree. It was a really good music video. Well edited, well done.
Wasn't there a second song in there that they put together with it?
No. That was an original song. That was an original 21 Pilots song.
But yeah.
You are thinking
overall,
of something else.
That trailer was the thing that got me hyped, and the thing that got me, I think, into the right mindset to really appreciate the movie for what it was. And I just want to give points to whoever was the genius that put that thing together.
My good is it was not Batman versus Superman.
That it actually had some idea of a plot that stayed to its course, at least for the most part.
I found 3 things right with it.
Mm-hmm. Most of the characters were actually likable, or...
You know what? I did actually like them, even though I was not invested.
Even with Joker being useless, he was still, I felt, a likable character. And I do have to say this, the only Joker as of yet that grossed me out.
Yeah.
Which, in my opinion, is a good thing.
No, he comes off as a total sleazeball, and I like it. He
seems really real. Like, he seems like he could be a real person, not just something from a comic, and that makes him scarier.
It's like, I want to rag on, like, the really awful, like, choice with the damage tattoo and, like, all the just over-the-top edginess of him, but at the same time, I'm not as annoyed with him as I'd like to be. I have to admit, I like him more than I hate him.
Yeah.
Even though his role was completely pointless.
Overall, I want to see more of him.
Can anybody guess what my least favorite part of the movie was?
The Enchantress?
Actually, I didn't have any problems with her.
What they did with her?
Problems with her too.
Okay, but we're not on
Yeah,
that
we're
part
not
of
on
this
that. That's
podcast.
why-
In fact, it's time, I think, to move on to the next part of the podcast.
Oh, you can talk now. So who goes first? I should probably go first because I'm the one who hated it the most.
Yeah, probably.
See here. I would see the movie again if somebody else paid for it. And it was the Blu-ray really super duper cool release, so I can check out behind the scenes and see if it gets better. Because I feel like this is my Twilight. I hated Twilight until I saw the behind the features, and then Twilight turned to, all right, I can understand why those choices were made. Not that bad of a movie.
I'd be curious to see what they would put into a special edition Blu-ray.
Hopefully all the things.
I'd like to see the director's cut.
Yeah, I agree.
That'd be interesting.
With all the edits, I would love to see some of those edits and see if the tone of the movie changes for me personally.
Yeah,
I agree.
That could be
definitely.
interesting.
So, Alex, what's your rating of it? Wait, hold on. How much money would you spend on it, though? Like, how much money?
I told you, somebody has to buy it, and we watch it with popcorn.
So you would
I would spend
zero
no more money. No more money.
$0.
Technically,
None.
someone would have to
Zero.
pay you to watch it.
$0.
Well, if somebody goes, hey, Anita, I've got Suicide Squad. You want to watch it? Is alcohol involved? Yes. Yes, I want to watch it.
Who's Anita? Alex, what's your rating? How much money would you spend on it?
If I was bored, I might watch it again by spending $5.
Okay, so Alex is actually buying the movie and coming over.
I might actually I might spend $5 to go to a theater that is showing it 3 months after it's released because I think the popcorn
so that
is good.
answers my question, because my question was going to be $5 in a $5 movie theater or $5 out of the $5 Walmart bin.
Well, that is actually vastly different issues.
Yes.
Yeah, that paints a whole different picture.
Yeah.
Because the $5 theater here in Vegas is actually really nice.
Yeah, no, like I'm basically spending it because I can go sit in a movie theater for like 2 hours and the popcorn's nice.
Yeah. In fact, fun fact about Vegas, the $5 movie theater also has literally the best movie popcorn in the city.
I
It
would
has
even
been
agree.
voted
And I don't really like popcorn.
by
I
the
would
city.
agree.
Roger?
Actually, I think I should go next because,
Go.
Oh, yeah.
going
okay.
up from
Go, boss
dislike.
man.
You just
Yes.
make decisions.
I almost paid for it again, full price, today. So there's at least some leniency there. I would probably pay for the Blu-ray for the same curiosities.
So you're the one
More than
who's
likely.
going to buy
yeah.
it, and we're going to swatch out the special
I-
features.
I think I'm gonna end up buying the majority of the DC movies anyway, just because of what they're doing. Just to have that piece of cinematic history
Yeah.
Just
under
to-
my belt. To be
just
honest,
to see,
you
like,
know?
for both of these movies and probably Wonder Woman 2, I am gonna want to see the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, this is
Absolutely.
definitely one of them for me, and I'm gonna want the ultimate, whatever
If you're
extended
buying the
if
movie,
it has it.
you should buy it. Like,
If I'm
the
gonna buy it, I'm gonna buy the biggest baddest thing.
And I find that curious. Is we wouldn't be so inclined to watch the behind the scenes stuff with like the Marvel stuff or like that because we thoroughly liked it. We're more
No.
Oh
inclined.
no.
Hold on,
No.
hold on. We will, but my point is we're more inclined to watch the DC stuff because we did not like the movies, and we're more curious to find out why they made these decisions, what the whole process was, and
I
that whole
don't
thing.
Well,
disagree, but
and this-
I see your point.
Maybe wording it differently.
Yeah,
We
I see
have
your
a
point.
different. yeah.
Okay, in my case specifically, it's because I feel like these movies could have been way better than what they were, and I feel it was mainly the studio's decisions that took over. And I want to see like more details about the parts I did like, which would probably be in those bonus features.
But anyway, saying what I was saying about how I would do that, I think I would definitely watch it again. I may even actually put it on for myself from time to time, and only because today I came to a conclusion.
Mhm.
If I think of the DC films like a cheesy 80s action movie, I actually like them.
I agree with you.
Ah.
On that. Yeah.
And
yeah.
if I stop trying to think of them as 2016 superhero films that Marvel has set the bar for, I hate them. But if I think of them as 80s action films, they're actually pretty damn good.
So if you change where the bar is, it's better.
Well, but that's it with
No,
any
it's
movie.
it's
Yeah.
not it's not changing the bar. It's
If
it's separate but
if you
equal.
go to a friend's house for coffee,
It is
and
a
they-
separate bar
it's
to
like
hit.
X-Men 1 when it came out in
Back in
back in-
2002, I think it was.
yeah. So it's like watching X-Men 1 again. We watch X-Men 1 now. It's like, wow.
Wow, this is really cheesy and hokey. Why
Yeah.
why did we ever like this when it's still a good movie? But yeah, it's kind of like that. If I take a step back and think of it
It's a different
not
mindset.
as what is the bar now, but just a different category.
What was the bar then?
Not even necessarily that. Just thinking of the movie from a different perspective. I enjoy them more, and I think if I watch Suicide Squad again with that frame of thinking in mind, if I even watch Batman versus Superman with that frame of thinking in mind, I think I would like them better.
I think I agree with you. Okay.
So that's
Okay.
my rating on the film.
My rating, I would probably watch it again at the normal theater price, and I am definitely going to be buying the full super special edition Blu-ray. I would probably give it one of the higher ratings, just because again I came into the movie with that mindset.
The really super duper set's going to be $40.
Yeah, like $40. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then another 13. You said they suckered you in.
Just going back to what Aaron was just saying, I
No.
because of the specifically, I think because of the music video, I came into it with a different mindset, looking at it in a different way. I wasn't looking at it as a competitor to Marvel movies. I was looking at it as something different, something that
See,
in its own.
I wasn't looking at it as a comparison to Marvel movies. I was looking at it as a comparison to DC movies. That's the way they are. So I wasn't looking at it in a good mindset.
Yeah,
But I wasn't comparing it to
with
Marvel. There is no comparison.
I went in with a very similar mindset. This is the bar DC has set for themselves. Are they going to make the bar drop below the bar, or are they going to actually raise the bar? Completely just comparing it to the films that they've already set forth.
Ashleigh?
Well, when it comes to fictional soulmates, Harley Quinn is only tied with Nikki Nichols from Orange is the New Black for me. So I will be buying everything I can.
Wow. You are.
I think we've done pretty well this podcast. Too.
Lipid.
That's like what, 2?
No, that's
No,
no,
that's
4.
2.
No, 4.
4.
It's been a few, but still really
Good
You
compared.
do not have to censor badass.
I would buy the DVD when it comes out. For not necessarily because of the fact that I thought the story was really good, but for the fact that there was a lot of Harley. And I liked that.
hardcore Harley fan.
Did you go
And-
back to the movies?
Yes, absolutely. I'm gonna.
Alex,
What?
what's your review? What's your rating?
Oh, that's
I
right. You
told
didn't
you.
give it.
Oh yeah, that's right. Never mind.
So I guess we're done.
Well, I'm
Oh.
memorable.
Voices from the Void. Your review.
I didn't watch it.
We have
Other voice
you know
from
what?
the Void?
Mine's a
What was
no
your
one.
review?
Sweet.
9.5 out of 10. That's what she said.
Overall, we can all agree it's better than this Batman versus Superman.
Yeah,
absolutely.
If anything,
Yes.
all cards on the
Let's end
table,
on
it's
a
better
good-
than Batman versus
Ending
Superman.
on a good note, vastly superior.
I have no complaints with that one.
Nope.
Let's just take a second to appreciate the fact that Zack Snyder was only a producer.
Seriously. Oh my
All he did was
God.
shell out money. That was it. Thank God.
Oh, maybe that's why there were so many edits.
Guys, you're
It's
going to make him
possible.
sad if you keep talking about him like that.
Never
What's he
mind.
gonna do?
Edit
Make
us.
another Batman versus Superman.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 'cause the studio's gonna let him do
That
that.
would be amazing.
All right, cool. This has been an episode of The Good, The Bad, and the Spoilers.
Thanks for joining us. Go ahead and leave your thoughts on the movie. If you agree, disagree, whatever points you had, leave a comment. Tell us why we're wrong, why you hate our guts.
Hey, we need some positivity.
This podcast brought to you by Queen Consolidated.
I can't believe they put the Flash in it too.
We didn't even talk
Oh.
about Flash.
Oh, yeah, because he
Oh,
was like,
nope. We're done. We're done.
we are not
ending.
done.
With that.
Do not,
bye,
do not
everyone.
hit that stop button. Don't even think about it.
Bow, 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 bow.